All right. Good afternoon. We'll now do a call to order. And we'll start with roll call. Mr. Gilbert Guadiana? Here. Myself here, Miss Gabby Begay, Miss Angelina Hardin,
Present.
and Mr. Dave Wilgis.
Yes. Here.
We have a quorum. Next is C, we'll go with the board norms. Number 1, actively listen to all perspectives.
Number 2, close the loop with responding to concerns and questions as a unified board.
Model the professionalism we accept from all members of the district and community customer service orientation.
Which one? Assume positive intent.
And number 5, be positive and responsive. You can all join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the United States, the U.S. symbol of perfect friendship among the United cultures. Thank you. Next is number 2, the adoption of agenda.
I move we adopt the agenda. Oh, I'm sorry. Is there any?
No, good.
That's right. Is there any changing?
No.
I move we adopt the agenda as written.
Have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Now we have number 3, public comment. Anybody from the public comment? Anybody in public?
I need to stand up or next week?
You have to come to a mic.
You have to come to the mic.
Good evening, Mr. Board President, board members, interim superintendent, Mr. Piper. Again, my name is George Esqueda. I'm a community member or stakeholder on the finance committee for the Cobre School District. I just wanted to come and, for full transparency, let you guys know that, although not provided, I did go online, downloaded a copy of the agreements or the agreements. My understanding that you guys will be taking action on today. So I did read both agreements, or the agreement as well as the statement of work associated with the agreement for the Vertex, or I believe doing business as K-12. So I did review it. As a result of reviewing the agreement, I reached out on Sunday evening to Mr. Carrillo and Mr. Piper, requesting a meeting to discuss some questions I had in regards to the agreement. I did meet with Mr. Piper this morning about 8:30. Mr. Carrillo was unable to attend. When I showed up, I just want to let you guys know that there was a representative of the PED that was in on the call, as well as Board Vice President Gabby Begay was on the call for a little bit. So we had there were some discussions in regards to the agreement. Some of my questions I provided, and again, just want to let you guys know that I was part of the unknown to me that the PED was going to be on there, but again, was able to express some of my concerns, comments, recommendations. So again, just here to see what direction the board takes. If there's, I know during public input, it's only, I'm only allowed, or the board's only allowed to listen to my input, but if there's any questions that I could answer during the discussion of your action item, I'll certainly stick around and try to answer any questions, in regards to the discussion that was had this morning, or the information that was relayed by the representative from the education department. So with that, again, just want to thank you, and, you know, just for full transparency that I have read it, and I was part of the conversation this morning. All righty.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to number 8, agenda items for public comment. Anyone else? Okay. Next, we'll move on to number 4, action items. A discussion and approval of fiscal service contract. Mr. Piper.
Yes. What I did was went ahead and looked at several different contractors that could be available to provide fiscal services. One of the first ones I contacted said they do not have the resources to handle what needs to be done. With being 3 audits behind, they just said, we don't have the staff, we don't have the resources to meet the needs of the district. I came across this company, K-12, Vertex Consulting Education, and they have a team that would be available. They were the team that took over in Lordsburg when I had to release a business manager down there, and they have taken over Alamogordo Public Schools, and they're doing all of their accounting services. Alamogordo is probably 3-4 times at least our size. They were in basically the same situation, and they've been doing Alamogordo. Our conversations with the public ed department, even this morning, was we needed to hire a contractor. It was basically non-negotiable. They can withhold our SEG because we're behind on our audits.
Can you tell us what the SCG is?
SEGs are School Equalization Guarantee, which is basically our funding. So they can withhold that. They've already done that to a couple districts, which I was a little surprised with. And, you know, it's just one of those things that we've got to be able to move forward. And I think we need a team that can work with our staff. And it's going to take more than one person. Some of the stuff that's going to have to be looked at is actually going back to 2017's bond and some of the capital asset stuff from 2017. That's 9 years ago. And if we think one person can come in and do that, they can't. And I think having a team that can focus on this stuff immediately, hopefully, I would hope that we can, you know, make some adequate progress to where maybe we avoid maybe another forensic audit. Like I said, it's going to be a long road. Part of my decision to do this was to also aid in the transition with a new superintendent. With the new superintendent coming in, I think they need to be able to have somebody that is familiar with everything that is New Mexico. How are things done? How are they done with the public ed department? And have somebody they can rely on to provide assistance. So that's basically what my decision was based on moving forward. I'm trying to make sure that we can get this in place. Payroll needs to be set by basically next Wednesday. So Ms. D can have that pretty much ready to go, but we do need a second person to authorize and check that stuff and make sure it's correct. And like I said, Ped said they have a letter basically ready to come to us, correct, George?
Yes, that was discussed on the phone call this morning, that there is a letter coming from Ted forthcoming that I believe will identify deficiencies, for lack of a better term, and will be asking for a course of action as well as a timeline to address those issues.
And this is basically the first step. And their recommendation was, this was one of maybe 2 they would have recommended contractor-wise to assist the district.
Understood. Let me confirm a few things with you, and I'll have it open for the rest of the board to ask questions.
Okay, and Brian Runyon from K-12 is also online if you have some questions for a representative from Vertex K-12.
Perfect, thank you. So with that being said, it's my understanding, and we're going to read off of some notes and stuff that I've taken. So it's my understanding that this contract is a CES procured contract, a cooperative procurement.
Yes.
Is that my understanding? Okay. So then the district does not have to go out for an RFP. Is that
Correct.
Let me see. And being that the time of the year of now, the status of our audit and the status of our district CFO and the district appears really to have little choice right now. Is that correct?
That's correct.
You understand that? Also, I want to just let the board know, and correct me if I'm wrong, and Mr. Runyon's here as well, that the term of the contract is 5 years. Is that correct?
The term of the contract is 5 years.
That's what I've read, and it also has an automatic renewal clause for 5 years.
But that is not the statement or the statement of work. The statement of work is for basically the remainder of this year and the next year. So, and Mr. Runyon can correct me if I'm wrong.
But the contract doesn't say that, though, right? So what I'm getting at is it says here that we can, there's a clause in there, right, in this, that I did read, it says, both parties shall comply with all laws applicable to the performance of this agreement. Paragraph 14.9 allows an invalid, illegal, or unenforceable term to be served and renegotiated in good faith. But it also stated in there that we could terminate this contract if needed, right? So do we have to stay the 5 years?
If there's no statement of work for, I'm going to call it year 2, if there's no statement of work, then there's nothing that they're going to do, and there's nothing they're going to bill for. So basically, there's 2 agreements. There's the contract, which is 5 years, can automatically be renewed. And if we have another statement of work, if we're happy with the services, we can just get another statement of work and we can keep rolling. If there is no statement of work, then there is no billing and there is no obligation. And you might ask Mr. Runyon if I stated that correctly.
Good afternoon, Mr. Runyon. So, Mr. Runyon, if I can, I'm sorry to interrupt. I know that our IT person's trying to raise the volume on your side. So if you can give me just a minute, see if you can just raise the volume for a little bit. You're a little low. That's okay. Now I'm getting louder. Just so you can check. Test. I'm loud. We can hear you low. I think he just needs us to maybe keep talking a little bit, Mr. IT. I'm loud, way loud. Okay. Thank you. Let me get with him real quick. He just stepped to another room. We just want to be sure that, I know this is an important decision for the board. I just want to make sure that all board members hear what you're going to respond. And my volume seems to be okay. It's just yours that's low. I'm on the computer. I'm not an IT person. Thank you, Mr. Rennie.
Would you like for me to explain a few more things from?
Sure.
Well, okay. In our call with Ms. Cordova from PED, the one thing she did say is, at this time, our second quarter, we've got a 10% cash balance moving in. She said that's very good. She said for this time of the year to have that kind of a cash balance moving forward, the district's looking pretty good financially. She also stated that if we needed, there's what they call an emergency supplemental fund to help support stuff. So if we happen to drop, we would have access to that. And this is one of the things that PED would, gladly support because they know what the need is. And like I said, it's just one of the things that, recommended not only from PED, but also from the auditor. So I think it's essential for us to go ahead and do this as soon as possible.
What is and I know that doesn't have to do with the contract itself. I myself have never experienced someone from the outside to come in to even any workspace and start working. But what's the experience going to be like with the employees that are going to come in from this contractor? So are they going to train our employees, or are they just going to come and do the work and then leave? Or how's that going to work? Maybe Mr. Roney can, or if he told you. We can hear you. We'll just try and be very quiet, sir.
We'll make sure that segregation is moving in line with design. So there might be like little changes in that regard. But for the most part, it's been very good, and that we work very closely with their employees and provide training where needed because it makes the whole finance to operate more efficiently, if everyone kind of has a better idea of what the business is. We're very well concerned to make sure that we're all on the same page. We're not getting and so there's really no changes like that. And then we'll provide training as needed, fulfill any gaps that we identify that need to be filled. So there is like a little bit of a patch, which we call like a growing phase, which is just changing, adapting to the new processes. But it's been successful for the district that we've implemented it on.
And their job is not to evaluate our staff. Right? They are here to support and train. And like I said, the processes, making sure that we have those separation of duties and that type of stuff. But they are not here to evaluate our staff.
So I'm assuming that they have their own policies and procedures that they'll follow as well, or they can adopt?
Yes, that are, within their company in that. So yes.
And we'll follow the district policies, too. So we'll learn your policies and make sure that the district's following those policies that's set by the board.
So do these employees have to sign your policies, agreements?
No, your policies trump everything, right? And so if I see something that maybe is missing, I'll just throw out an example. Like maybe we don't have, and I know that we do have, but let's say we are in the bank and we notice that we don't have a dual approval for wire transfers. I might suggest to the superintendent that this would be something that we should implement just from a procedure standpoint. But we'll follow district policies. We have internal policies that we follow. But ultimately, if we see something that we can be improved on, then we'll recommend it or suggest it. But it's up to the district to implement that and set that to what they decide to do.
So then any changes that you see that the district needs, what you're saying is you're going to consult with our superintendent and let him know of all that, and then it's up to him to go ahead and implement them and stuff?
Yeah, we don't make any decisions. We follow, we work for you guys. We work for the board. Ultimately, I like to shoot for not being seen as a contractor, as being part of the district. The district succeeds, we succeed. So we'll provide recommendations where we see them and work with the district to implement them if that's the path that they see.
I'd like to say that the contract provides a little bit of direction in terms of how you'll be working with the different staff here, including HR, the payroll clerk, and other positions. But one of the things that I think we're going to be at a deficit in, that we really appreciate a little bit of guidance on, is the segregation of controls.
Okay. So just to give you a little bit of background, I don't want to talk too much, but so I started my career in public accounting, pursuing external audits for the state of New Mexico. I worked for a large firm here in Albuquerque doing external audits. I went all the way to be a senior manager. I had my CPA. My wife also, her and I started the company together, has a similar background. So audit is something that we take very seriously. And when we started the company, it was from identifying a need of just like a lack of qualified business personnel in government, just in general. And so the audit and quality has been like at the top of our priorities from a service perspective. I think there are other providers out there that might charge less than we do, but I think ultimately I can say with confidence that, I feel that we provide the highest level of service. And so that being with our background, having that CPA mindset, we want to make sure that the information that's presented to the superintendent and to the board is the most accurate, so that you can make the most informed decisions that you can make with what's accurate information.
And I have another question that doesn't relate to this is, can you tell me a little bit about the relationship with Vortex?
Vertex, yeah. So 2019 is when K-12 accounting started, and we just kind of grew exponentially once we started the company. About 2 years ago, my wife and I, as we kind of grew, our clients started to ask us for like extra services that we didn't provide, grant writing, marketing, like enrollment marketing, things that we didn't do. And Vertex was actually a company that I was familiar with in Arizona as we talked about expanding our organization. And so it just happened to come by chance that we jumped on a phone call together. They offered all these services that my clients were asking for, but they didn't offer school business finance, and they wanted to offer that. So we kind of just talked off and on for about a year, maybe two, and then about 2 years ago decided to combine forces, and it was kind of structured as an acquisition, but now K-12 is part of Vertex, and we're able to offer all these additional services that we didn't provide in the past, and now Vertex is able to offer student business management services.
So Vortex will be the one that has the 50% plus ownership, and you guys will be minority part?
So I still run K-12 just as I always have, and I continue to run it, so that won't change. One of the things that I think is just maybe not commonly known, but state school business management, like state by state, is so unique that it's not like you can just put anyone here from California to run New Mexico. But just as an example, so my wife and I, we're committed. We have a team of maybe 30, 40 employees here. We're headquartered in Albuquerque. And from our side, nothing's changed other than our name and our brand. We continue to do things how we've always done it, and that's how we're going to continue to do them.
I have another question. Can we shorten the term?
So,
The term currently is the rest of this fiscal year and all of 2027. And I would, just because of the spot that the district's in and the work that would be needed to get the 3 audits caught up, doing the budget, the year end, going into next year, like I would want at least next fiscal year, just because of the amount of work that I'm going to have to put on my staff to get us where we need to be.
Okay, thank you.
so Mr. Piper, I want to confirm this in speaking with our guided people that we guide us on this, and I don't know the term, so I'm going to apologize up front. But it's my understanding that we cannot negotiate any terms of the contract, being that this is already a pre-authorized, or however you want to say it, of the procurement process for this company. So unless we wanted to do a negotiation of contract, then we'd have to go out for bid, and we have to go out and do this.
We would have to go out to RFP.
RFP, yeah. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. George, you had a question?
Just a clarification, I'm not for or against this, I'm just, somebody that, as a member of the finance committee, and, looking at this, the one thing I want to clarify is that I believe there's two separate documents here before you. There's what's called, and I think Mr. Runyon alluded to this, it's your master services agreement. And that master services agreement is for the term of 5 years. So basically that master services agreement, that's kind of like the umbrella, the bigger picture. And the statement of work in essence is like a PO, a purchase order or a task order that's assigned against the master services agreement, which has the 5-year term. The statement of work document that's provided in your guys' packet, that is only in effect through June 30th of 2027. At that point in time, the statement of work for these services that are outlined in this document, then that statement of work, that's the termination date or expiration date associated with statement of work number 1. And I believe, so if the district would want to go into statement of work number 2 for some kind of other services that K-12 offers, then you would need to negotiate a separate statement of work, and within that statement of work would have its own terms in regards to fee, scope of work, and the duration of that statement of work. So again, there's two separate things going on here. One is the master services agreement, and one is the statement of work.
That's a very accurate description of it. A lot of times it's because of these other services that we provide, and I'll just give an example. We had a charter school that we do business management for, and now they want us to do enrollment marketing. It would fall under that master services agreement, but now there was 2 different scopes of work. And so the master services agreement is just kind of there to cover all the other services that we would provide. And just as was spoken by the member of the audience, the scope of work would terminate June 30th, 2027, and at that time, hopefully, we could either renew a contract or we could, we could part ways at that time. But the scope of work is what outlines the responsibilities of us and the district, and the term and the fees. That's all in the scope of work.
Thank you, Mr. Runyon and Mr. George, for clarifying that.
And though there's not an opportunity to change the terms of the contract, there are several things that probably need to be changed, like the references to California regulations, the arbitration going through Maricopa County as opposed to in New Mexico.
Yeah, you did see that, right, Mr.
Yes,
Piper? There's some
yes.
correction.
So those would not
Correct me
put
if
us.
I'm wrong, Mr. Runyon, they do business within California and Arizona as well as New Mexico. And I think some of that stuff in the blanket agreement is to cover them in, because that's a little different within California.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah, that's correct. We actually do this in a lot of states throughout the country. But myself, K-12 focuses mainly on New Mexico, but with that, in the general sense, does reference those other states in the.
So we can correct that to reference those to be in New Mexico jurisdictions?
I would have to look at specifically, it might not even apply, to be honest. It's kind of just in there as like boilerplate language for all of the states that we do serve. But to answer your question, I don't have any problem changing something to New Mexico. But
Yeah, it mainly deals with the larger contract, not so much the micro part of the scope of work, in terms of arbitrating issues, and getting negotiations in the case of disagreements, et cetera.
Anybody else have any questions for Mr. Runyon or Mr. Piper?
In the event that if we do go into a second scope of work, then we might be able to talk about a different form of pay, for instance, pay per item work or product that's requested?
Yes. Like, right now, this would be full service with the exception of the district keeping, I believe, AP and payroll. But, we've already identified a team. I think myself personally has agreed to kind of take on the task of the audit. And I'll work with your external auditors. That's going to be my primary focus. Kind of what the interim superintendent alluded to before. You really do get a team of people. You might only talk to one individual on the board. You might have the business manager present, the finance committee or the board. But know that behind that person, you probably have, between 4 and 6 other individuals that will be working on various aspects of the business.
The last question, we just received the CES RFP 2023-18. And it's just a table listing corresponding rates based on the state equalization guarantee. And I assume that we're looking at the cost for this contract based on this table then as getting somewhere between $12 and $13 million for state, the SEG.
I think you're actually more at the 18 million.
Okay, because our amount that we'll get paid is 400 and something thousand?
But then there's some discounts due to keeping accounts payable, HR, that they will not do. Is that correct, Mr. Runyon?
That is correct. Yes, I think.
So they've discounted some of the services that we do not need.
But just as the foundation of how it is that we came across the figure that we're going to be paying, it would be this document?
Yes.
Okay.
And there was something else I was going to mention, and now it left me. I'm sorry.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, guys. Just real quick question that came up. I guess this is for Brian. It just came up right now. The discount is for payroll and accounts payable. Those are services that you're not going to be doing under this agreement. So what does that mean for Daniel and myself in purchasing and procurement? Like, does that put us on the line that you guys may replace us or?
Purchasing is one of the things that's interesting about the state of New Mexico is they do not allow contractors to service the PTO. So we won't make any purchases. We'll make sure that the purchase recs are reviewed and approved, that the code is in the right place, that there's budget there to make the purchase. But I'm not going to be involved in saying that a teacher needs or doesn't need something. Ultimately, that's what we're going to set up with you and approvals within the district that we will follow. As far as purchasing goes, like that will continue how it's always been. We'll just work very closely with you and your team to make sure that, we're dotting our I's and crossing our T's, and that we're not buying stuff without having a budget for, or that we're not buying stuff without having a purchase order in place, that type of stuff. So yeah, nothing will be changed related to the purchasing piece. We'll just work alongside with you.
So, Mr. Runyon, just to clarify then, because with that question just brings up, just this other little scenario that I think you mentioned it, but you're bringing a team down to work with our district. These employees, and this question will go to Mr. Piper, these employees that are already here are not going to be replaced.
That is correct.
They're going to keep their job.
I met with them and I told them none of their jobs were in jeopardy. They would be rehired. They've received their letters of intent, which are planning to go out shortly. I visited with Ms. Ramirez on that. The other thing with, in visiting with Mr. Runyon was they are available to have staff here Monday afternoon. They can be at the board meeting on Monday and visit with you a little bit about fiscal if you'd like. And then they'll stay into Tuesday, to meet the staff, and what are your responsibilities and that. So they know Crystal's our CPO. If they need something related to our large purchasing with contractors for our SLP and those type of things, they'll know who to contact. and they'll, basically get the contact information. And I think their availability to be here Monday, and I think we figured they could be here roughly by 1 o'clock. Then they would have the opportunity to meet staff and meet with staff, and then be here additionally on Tuesday. So.
Yeah, I would like to see, we would just see an additional resource. So as an example, the CTO, if she had a question, she could reach out to myself or the team and just run it by us. I think, do I need to go off of this or this, or whatever. We're just there to help and work alongside them and keep them as busy as we can.
And what about the, you said they're going to be coming down, Mr. Piper, on Monday, or when they get here. Is all that, and I didn't read this part, in the contract, or is this going to be an extra expense from the district, lodging, the meals, anything for their employees coming down? Has that been brought up?
Mr. Runyon, you want to address that?
Yeah, no, I'm not going to charge you anything extra for putting down. You can call me old school, and, I like to go in person to board meetings. I like to see a face rather than just on a screen. So it's not uncommon for a lot of my business managers to travel. Every board meeting in Northburg, I have someone there in person. I drive down the border once a month to present to their board. So no, and I don't charge anything extra for that. That's just, I think given the scope of what we're dealing with, I think it would be important for my team to sit with the district team so that they have a face and they have people that they know that they can call if they need help. And then we can just make sure that we're all on the same page as far as getting the information to us so that we can perform the business management function, up here in Albuquerque and knowing which individuals we need to talk to. Because we'll just be working alongside whoever we need to at the district.
Thank you, Mr. Onion. I'm sure with your experience and with other boards, you could relate that this is a difficult decision for us, and getting all the information that you've already given us helps us, along with Mr. George and the meeting this morning with PED and with Mr. Piper. So thank you for clarifying a lot of stuff, Mr. Onion.
Any other questions?
I don't have any other questions.
I would recommend approval of and I guess we need to do them separate since it's two pieces. One, the master agreement. Recommend approval of that, and recommend approval of the statement of work as presented.
Does all that go into what's called the fiscal services contract?
Yes.
Okay, so that's what we will be approving if there's a motion.
I would like to make a motion that we would approve the financial services contract, being those both parts, with the corrections being made to references to out-of-state entities in dispute resolution.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Individual vote. Mr. Williana?
Aye.
Ms. Harden?
Aye.
Mr. Wilgis?
Yes.
Myself, aye. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. And Mr. Runyon, we'll see you on Monday?
Yeah, I'll probably be Rebecca, but yeah, I'll be
Okay.
down there, I'm sure.
Okay.
Thank you all, and I look forward to working with you all.
And one of the things I'd like is, and I think it's probably all public information anyway, could you bring them a sample packet of what you do in Lordsburg? Because I'm familiar with what you presented, to the board there. And I think it's important to let them see what, the type of things that you present. Or if you can email your board packet to me, I can make sure you get it. Because I was impressed with the amount of information that was provided to the board. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We'll move next to adjournment.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting, and also to offer our gratitude to Mr. Esqueda for his assistance in this process.
I have a motion for adjournment.